Good evening, everyone. Just give me a moment while I get our filmmakers onto the stage. Eric, you know you have like a comedian smirk. You know? Like
Looks
when
like the
you said
Joker.
when you're a comedian, it was like, yeah, I definitely can see that.
No, thanks. I think it's a compliment. I'm not joking.
Your face is funny, Eric.
I remember when we were filming, somebody, one of the set designers said to me, she said, you have a real smirk when you're acting. And it was like one of our early days, and I was like, all right, I gotta control that smirk, I guess, when I'm doing it.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Filmocracy Fest, everyone, and to our Q&A session with In Action. We're happy to have the two filmmakers, star writers, Eric Silvera and Sean Keneally, Captain Keneal, in other words. We did have a panel earlier today, so I'm going to try to keep this a little bit different of a topic, but they're going to share their insights on how they made their film and their plans going forward. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to present your terrific film with our audiences and for joining us today. So let's jump in. What was the inspiration for making this action comedy romance movie?
Exactly. Well, first, thank you for having us. Thank you for selecting our film to be part of Filmocracy. We're honored, and we're so excited to be part of this. And the whole experience so far has been great. You guys have done an incredible job during this virtual festival, and something that feels really like we're in person in some ways. So it's really cool. Thank you. We started writing this movie in 2014, and Sean and I have written together for about a year or two, and he said to me, we were trying to figure out what our next project was going to be, and he said, I want to make an action movie with two people sitting in chairs that take place only in one room. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, I just feel like there's something that we can do it on a low budget and we can show up our skills. And I remember thinking, all right, that sounds crazy. Like I was like, why don't we make like a podcast? I was like, we were like totally different direction. As I left him and walked away, I was going to dinner with someone that would eventually become our lead producer. I started seeing like a car chase with like us sitting in chairs and like with the camera could constantly move. And there was fast cutting and we could do the sound design. And I was like, maybe there is something to this idea. And the next day I called Sean. I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. Whatever this is going to be, let's make a two-person action movie. So it was really Sean's idea. And then together we had to sit down and figure out what exactly that would be. And so we thought the best way to go about it would be to write an actual action film, come up with a plot that was, would be typical of a regular action movie, and try to deconstruct the genre from there with the two people. And it evolved from like what felt like a stage play into like a prototype where we shot it with the two of us sitting in a room to get, some producers on board, and then to see if we could even make it work. And then it turned to what it is now.
Yeah, I think also there was Eric mentioned that we wrote probably for a year before we started writing in action, and the project we did before this was an over-the-top action movie, like very big budget, and we actually would email each other back and forth. I remember I would write at work a little bit. I hope none of my coworkers are watching. And I would send Eric like an idea for like a terrorist attack or like something exploding in the air. And I do remember thinking like, God, I can't believe I'm sending this over email. Like this is gonna get me in trouble. But we're just writing like it's nothing. But I think that also kind of got the wheels turning a little bit for like the plot of like, because the movie is actually about writers writing an action movie, and we had lived that life before, so that's definitely an influence for us.
And then Sean told me this. He's like, this is crazy what we write to each other. And this is like a side note. We kind of forgot this happened. As he's telling me, I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. My godmother had called me the day or two before, and my uncle Stanley had been emailing with his doctor some like crazy Republican conspiracies and like all this wacky shit. And like, I don't know, I probably in like 2013 or 2014. And the doctor got flagged by, I think, the CIA, like crazy stuff he was writing in emails. And so my godmother, my aunt, was freaking out that they were going to come for my Uncle Stanley next. Someone told me this, they were writing, and I was like, this is going after my godfather. And so then we went from there as well.
Sorry, my mic was off. So Inaction almost became a documentary.
It's a true story, completely.
You guys mentioned that you had been working on a big action movie before doing Inaction, but would you say that that was the thing that gave you the confidence to like jump into a full feature? Like, I think one would expect like to do a short first or something, a little more manageable than like hour and 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, we're insane.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say the exact same Eric just said. I mean, we definitely bit off more than we could probably chew. I will say that with Inaction, we it started as we did a few readings of it just in Eric's living room. It really was kind of like, oh, maybe this will be a theater piece. And then we filmed a prototype of it, like Eric mentioned, with literally us just sitting in chairs with 2 cameras going back and forth. And we edited a version of that just to show people and get people on board. So we definitely took baby steps to get before we started our actual production. And again, like I think that was kind of like our version of shooting shorts and our version of trying new things out. Just so kind of like dipping our toes in before we actually got on set, which helped us definitely.
And you know, one of the things for us was honestly originally our plan was to really write and act in it. And we had a vision, and we talked to a couple different directors, and we found someone that had an idea of our vision and could kind of expand upon what we had written on the page. And, you know, we worked with her to raise them, you know, as we raised the money over a Kickstarter. And to be very frank, you know, over time, things, you know, the old creative differences, over time, things changed. And we just realized we had the know-how, you know, we had the idea and the vision of what we wanted it to be, and it kind of differed. And so we parted ways with her. And I was talking to the cinematographer about the whole situation, and he was like, just direct it. He's like, you know what you want it to be. He's like, build a crew, and they'll translate the vision. And I studied film in college, you know, but it had just been several years since I had picked up a camera. And so we took I think we took out, you know, we both work in business on our daytime jobs, and we did this, you know, and then I think we took our Sean works in education, and I work in business, but we both took our like managerial skills and applied that to the set. And I think working with people that could take our thoughts and then translate it to film, you kind of see the results from there. But we definitely were naive enough to think we could do it. And I think if we knew what we know now in 2015 and 16, we'd be like, we can't do it. It's going to be too hard to make a short. And people told us to do a short. I had a conversation with a producer after we raised the money, and he was like, the concept is so cool. It's great. He was like, but we raised $20,000. We raised $22,000 after Kickstarter took their cut, and then taxes, we have like $18,000 left, you know? And he goes, you got to just do it like a short. Just do like 5 minutes as a proof of concept. And the director we were working with was like, let's just make a short proof of concept. And
we were like, no.
We were like, no, I'm not going to do it. And the one thing this guy said to me that stuck with me the whole time, he's like, do make a short. He's like, so it's really cool with that money. He's like, but if you're going to do this, he's like, this is your one shot. He's like, give it everything you got and don't mess up, because you're never going to get a chance to make another feature if it's terrible. And that stuck with me the entire time. He was blunt, but he was right, and that was the motivating factor. And you know, sometimes we'd say, God, like, we're still working on this, and you know, we had clients and friends and coworkers like, oh, when's your movie going to be done? What are you doing? What's going on? Oh, you're really making a movie? You hear this? Oh, Eric's making a movie. You know, like, and we'd be like, yes, we're making it. But I think we just took our time with this thought in our head, like, this is our chance to make something good. And so, you know, if we have to do pickups like 6 months after we have an edit done, and we think like because something's not working, then we're just going to do it, and we're gonna make sure we get it as right as we can, you know, with the limited resource we had.
So an interesting thing is you guys are co-directors, co-stars, co-writers, co-everything. Like there must have been, especially for such a long period of time and very stressful. Like, how did you manage like working relationship with each other when there's disagreements? Like, it's a very interesting thing because it doesn't sound like there was a third party to like be the tiebreaker.
Well, I mean, so we have another producer on board named Alex Nordenson who couldn't join us tonight, and our editor Billy Naraki was very involved. I mean, I think we always had other voices in the room with us that would definitely give us insight. So I think it would definitely be not the case if this was definitely not the Eric and Sean show. I think we just from the idea to now, we've just been kind of at the forefront of it, but we've definitely made it a priority to take people's notes and listen to people and try to make this the most powerful project we can. And that said, I mean, I think Eric and I just really took our time with it, and we did have a lot of disagreements. I mean, there's at the end of our movie, there's a toy scene that I was adamantly against for probably a year, and and Eric just kind of was like, let's keep talking about it. And I think, you know, we tried to kind of use our creative relationship also like a business relationship where we just leave the door open, don't say no to something right away, like let it marinate and let's think about it. And I think we both kind of like tried to, we had the luxury of taking our time with it because we shot it over a year and we didn't have to always on set sometimes you have to make decisions on the spot, but for pre-production, getting ready for a shoot, sometimes we would have 2 months just thinking about a scene. And we had a lot of rehearsals together beforehand. We kind of treated it like a theater piece in that sense, where we would rehearse in my apartment, Eric's apartment,
My office.
So, yeah, your office. So I would say there was a lot of disagreements, but we always just tried to really like take the time to think about it.
I'll tell you this also. My wife always tells this story. She says that she came to set one day, and we were getting ready to shoot, and the crew had needed to block out some windows. And I was tall, and I was like, I'm just gonna get on the table and do it with the crew so I can reach it. And Sean was like, Eric, like, no, like you need to like prep this scene with me. Like we need to we're gonna act this like an emotional scene. We gotta get this together. And I was like, all right, sure, sure. And then a few minutes after he came over to me, he's like, hey, Eric, I was talking to someone on the set, and Eric, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I do need you to stand up there and block out the windows. No one else can reach it. And I was like, no problem, Sean. I get it. Like, look, I'll go take care of it. And my wife looked at me after, and she was like, why don't you ever have an argument with me like that? Like, you guys just like communicated so well. And I think, Sean and I genuinely love him. I think we hang up. I say, I love you, man. I don't tell I love you, Sean.
I love you, Eric.
I love you. And we say I love you to each other. And I think we genuinely love each other. And so it was important for us to make sure that we were aligned and kind of cultivated our relationship from like an artistic standpoint throughout the process too. And our argument, I should argue with everyone like I argue with Sean, because it's like I can tell when he disagrees with me, and I let it go for a little bit, and then because I'm annoying, I like bring it up the next day and the next day until maybe he sees my side, and he does the same, and we wear each other down in the right way, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just I think wearing each other down, but also being patient. I mean, even just designing our poster, we were talking at, and I'm like, I don't think we should do that. And Eric's like, let's try it. And I'm like, I don't. It's like, and like I was like, all right, I think we're also just a big proponents of just trying things and see how they turn out. And I think like for a healthy relationship, like creatively or business or romantically, it's just good to like not say no to each other and just try things out and see where they land.
And I will say, our producer Alex was an incredible middleman. Incredible of like hearing me, then hearing Sean, then coming into the middle, maybe not taking a side, maybe sometimes taking Sean's side, maybe sometimes taking my side. And he did like an unbelievable balancing act of like, there's no egos between Sean and I, but of like manipulating the personality.
Oh!
Hey! Whoa!
I didn't know I was going to be a part of this, but
someone
just invited me. So.
I didn't think you could make it. Amazing.
I found my way in. Nice to
Well, you came in at the right time. They've been speaking glowingly about you, so it's nice to have a face to the compliment.
They were doing that just because they saw me join, but
no, I had no idea.
I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't make it.
Appreciate it, guys.
So I'll just jump into the next question, a little bit lighter. Can you share an anecdote or behind-the-scenes moment that audiences might be surprised to learn? a happy accident or challenge that was overcome, obviously that people were not aware of in the actual cut of the film?
I think something kind of fun is that one of the main villains, who in the film is called Black Eyes, is actually Eric's dad. Um, and Eric's a character, as you could probably tell, but his dad is a character, and he was, yeah, he was also kind of like our when we got to set. I think we were a little intimidated by with some of the fight coordination, and Eric's dad actually kind of took that role because he had done kind of B action movies in the 70s. Is that correct, Eric?
Yeah, and he teaches martial arts and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he was much more prepared to. So I think on the spot, Eric's dad kind of became like our fight coordinator and our main villain, and he's a very fun personality. And I remember I would look over sometimes, and he would have like our cinematographer in a headlock showing him a move, and he definitely turned into kind of like one of the more colorful people on set, which was it kept it very fun.
Yeah.
He also kicked remember he kicked the camera one day?
Yeah, he kicked the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, during the
I was like, oh, you might not be able to shoot anymore.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I bring this up to Sean fairly often, but before we started filming, I said to Sean, I was like, we're in our underwear for like 20, 25 pages. Like, we're like for like 20 minutes of this movie. Are we getting in shape for this? And he was like, no, man, we're not getting in shape. It'll be funny. And this fucking guy, we do rehearsals. I see him eating like, I'd be like, do you want any dinner? He's like, no. And he's like, bring out like a protein pack, eating it. And we started getting into like weightlifting. I was like, hey, he's like, I'm not getting in shape. He shows up to set the day. I'm sick. We're filming our show scenes. My wife is like 39 weeks pregnant with our second child. We're in the middle of moving to an apartment from Canada, Bronx. I'm pale. It's winter. I was like, had the flu. He's like, I'm going to go to California before we shoot. He comes in, takes off his shirt. He looks unbelievable, a yogurt-type jack body, and he's tan from being on the beach for 4 days before the shoot. I was like, what the fuck, man? You said that we weren't getting in shape. And my buddy sees this movie and goes, oh, Sean looks incredible. You got a dad bod. I'm like, oh, come on, man. So, for the record, I would have tried to look like Sean if he had told me something different.
We were also, I admit it, I was doing push-ups before all of those scenes. And like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing push-ups. So.
No, he was right. He did the right thing. I looked at him and I'm like, God, I should have done the push-ups with Sean.
Oh, God.
So was that actually like your plan, Sean, or were you just getting healthy on your own, like separate from the movie?
During during the therapy scenes in our movie, I have a cast on my leg. I tore my Achilles maybe like 3 weeks before, maybe a month before shooting, I forget. And I definitely had with physical therapy, had a whole like life health routine because of that. And I won't lie. Like, yeah, we were shooting certain sheets, so I was trying to do my best, but I was also in physical therapy 2 nights a week. So probably that helped as well.
And listen, he had to be chained up like this in his underwear and his arms. Like, I don't blame him. You had to look good. I'm just talking about the top a little bit. That's all. That's a behind the scenes thing for you
guys. So what would you say was the greatest challenge in getting this film made outside of your limited budget?
I think for us, we work. We work full time. Not, I guess I told you earlier, we work full time, not in filmmaking. And even though we're both artists and we've been writing and making art for years and years, we met in an NFA program. But we just kind of have families and we just have to pay the bills, and so we've been side hustling for so long. And I think that challenge of working full time and then having to mentally switch gears, sometimes in the middle of the day, like something comes up, and then or like at night, and then going into prep for the shoot that would be done over the weekends, on a Friday, picking up all the equipment, getting everything in order, and then rehearsing. I think that was during production, that was probably our biggest challenge, of just making sure we were doing everything right and that we felt good, but also like having to balance our regular life and a 50, 60-hour regular job work week. That was especially hard. And then I think as time went on, I just felt like it was like the mental challenge was just like we want to be done. We're working so long. We're anxious to keep moving forward. And how do we keep moving forward and progress as quickly as we can without rushing it and making mistakes or sacrificing quality because we wanted to be done with it. And so that was I think a big thing for us. And Sean, throwing out you guys can jump in too. That's a dominate.
No, please. I mean, I think. I mean, Alex, you please jump in when you want as well. But I think the multitasking, being on for me, writing, directing, and also acting in it. I mean, I think it was. I definitely felt a little spread thin sometimes, which is really. I think it was so important to have a team that you trusted. So we could lean on Alex so much to run the set when Eric and I just had to rehearse a scene, and we could really lean on Alex to, get everything else organized when we were, I don't know, had to like work on some of like the dialogue. So it was essential that we like trusted people on set with us, because sometimes the multitasking really just spreads you too thin.
Yeah, I can weigh in, I guess, quickly. I think I think the biggest thing is just keeping momentum going, with a project like this, like with Eric, with what Eric said, like it's about like just life gets in the way so hard, and you need to just have like little boosts of progress and wins, like a new person that joins the team or some good feedback from somebody or a new framework for thinking about a scene, or like I feel like we just every month or two we'd hit some kind of new momentum boost. And I think you also just like have to have the right people involved who you enjoy meeting with off and on for years. And if you don't have that, if it's not fun to like see the people you're working with on it, then it's just like you're screwed. So I don't know, that the challenge is doable.
Oh, Paul, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Since we have you, Alex, I'm very interested in knowing sort of your experience with these two very creative, and like obviously this project came from, since they acted in it, wrote it, and directed it, it's like it seems like a lot of the, I don't know, power or the engine came from the two of them. And so how did you find your way into like managing their like manic energy and like channeling it into something productive?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are professionals, and they're by no means manic creatives who are disrespectful and unwilling to work hard or anything like that. Like it was more just having fun and trying to organize the things that they couldn't get organized, because they're focusing on the script or focusing on, the direction of the movie, that kind of thing. I really, really just, I like to make things happen, make things come to life. And that was kind of how I just saw my role as like helping drive things forward, in random ways. But no, I kudos to Eric for originally getting me involved. I've done a little bit of production in that more of an advertising branding setting, and Eric and I had my wife was a mutual connection, and he tapped me to get involved, and it was kind of right place, right time sort of thing.
I was just waiting for the right moment. Alex was the guy I saw after Sean pitched this idea to me. I was having a dinner with him, and I were. I don't think any of us were even married. I think I was married, but I don't think you guys are married yet. And I remember thinking, I was like, Alex is the producer. I was like, I gotta get this guy. I gotta tell him this idea, and I'm just gonna wait for the right moment to get him on board. And it took us I think it was like another maybe 9 or 10 months before we convinced you, but we did it.
I wasn't the kind of producer that like you get involved and they have a bunch of money to put in. It was more just like I can do some grunt work, and he like is comfortable being on set. That was kind of like my skill set at the time. But
and you could talk I feel like because he's dealing with a lot of people that work in the ad world too, and they have, and I'm in the advertising world too. The personalities there are completely insane, and they're
right.
many prima donnas, and I think him knowing how to deal with them, we were probably a piece of cake compared to that, even though he had to rein us in sometimes.
Yeah, like having a little bit of experience working with directors and photographers, and knowing how not to piss people off when they're in the creative zone behind a camera or in front of a camera. That's kind of like only prerequisite skill, I think, to do what I did for this film. And yeah, but it was more than anything. I was just excited about the script and excited about how I could contribute some ideas here and there to the creative output, and get the experience of working on a full length movie. I'd only worked on 3 or 4 minute videos, so for me, getting to work on a full length, it was just sounded like so much fun.
I also think Alex, I feel like Alex did an amazing job, or Eric and I would have a plan. We'd be like, okay, this feels really good. And Alex would come in and be like, hey, wait about, what do we try? And you would always push us, which I think made the project so much better. And we really needed a person, because I feel like sometimes Eric and I would just get on this mindset of all right, this is it. We're doing it. And you would just throw something at us like a curveball. And I think having those curveballs always just kept us on our toes and pushed us to make the project better. And you need someone like that.
Oh, this is so sweet.
Those curveballs were annoying, Paul.
No.
That's what we want to hear.
I'm like, what are you talking about? And then we would stop and think about it, and we're like, all right, he might be right there.
You have to slow down.
No, I like throwing curveballs, but I will say we never. It was a great crew, great group of people. We never fought a single time. I'm sure Sean and Eric fought in times that I haven't seen, or I'm sure they actually didn't. But no, we never got heated enough where it was we reached this impasse and we all went home fuming. It was just no, we all just wanted to make shit work, and we were all respectful of each other's time and lives and creative ideas. So that's what made it doable.
Awesome. Well, I do want to get to some questions some audience members have submitted. From Ian, he asked, which scene in the movie was the hardest to execute?
Well, it's funny. I think I'll just jump in. I think some of the therapy scenes have very long takes. So I think from an acting standpoint, just to I don't know, just to get in the groove was very hard. I mean, I remember filming them and being like, wow, this is like a 4-minute scene. What are we doing? We need to cut away. This is ridiculous. But we were very determined to kind of have those just be very single takes, long shots. And that was also, we did the therapy scenes. That was our first film. So I mean, personally speaking, I was still learning the crew and learning being on set with everybody. So I think that probably felt from an acting standpoint, the most difficult. I think from a technical standpoint, I think the car chase, which Eric, I mean, please chime in if you disagree, but I think that, because I feel like that kind of always felt like our centerpiece of the movie. If we can pull a car chase off, then we can make a 2-person action movie feel real. So I think because I put that pressure on it, the day of shooting just felt okay, we have 4 hours to film. When you're doing a micro budget movie, you don't have the luxury of oh, we'll just come back tomorrow and figure it out, or we'll just stay till we respected our crew's time. We hardly went over. We tried to be very good about that. So things were always we could always see the sand going down the hourglass. And I think for the day we shot the car chase, I was very aware of limited amount of time we had. And I think that was also one of the days where I'm oh, we'll fix it in post, which I hate saying, but it kind of felt like we had to say it a lot that day.
And we did.
And I was definitely the most worried after that day, I'd say. And we did fix it in post, and it came together. But for me, that was the hardest day of shooting.
Yeah, I think because I had, for the car chase was less scary for me because I had that in my head. That was what was the impetus for me for making this was I think the hardest day for me was, weirdly, it was the day that we had to shoot the scene where Sean and I argued back and forth, and it became hard to shoot because I think we had talked, our cinematographer flown in from LA, he had a random gig and got delayed, so he was jet lagged, and so he was in a movie, and he'll admit it, he was in a terrible movie, we didn't want to hear our thoughts. We'd given the crew one set of directions, he came in and changed it completely different, and the look and feel of what we were going for was not what we wanted. It was we wanted to be warm because we're arguing, so we wanted to this kind of disconnect, and he had it cool and icy, and I remember being like, it's time to shoot. I'm like, this doesn't look right. This is incorrect. This is not what we talked about. And they had to redo the whole lighting. And so he was a little bit younger, and so there was that argument between us of like what we wanted and what the crew, what he told the crew to set up. That was a challenge, I think, just in terms of communication and running out of time when we redid it. But what you wind up seeing is just a kind of a manic energy, knowing that we're against the clock of having to shoot that scene and finish before the end of the day, that I think winds up working in its favor, because Sean and I are supposed to be angry at each other, and it's kind of real. We worked through the tension that day by the time we shot it, but it existed, and the energy was there in the atmosphere. And so that to me was the hardest challenge, because my natural nature is to tell people how I feel, but it's like, but I know you have to like bite your tongue and really work through it. And I think it wound up working out okay, but that was definitely you wind up losing 2 hours because someone did something wrong, and then after you give them direction, and then you have to wait to get it redone.
How about you, Alex?
Sorry, I had to get off mute. I think that the most challenging, what sticks out to me is some of the set design stuff that we did got really intense a few times, just because we did not have kind of a full team on that from start to finish, each shoot day, for a variety of reasons. It got tricky. And we also just didn't have like crazy budget for, props and didn't have a ton of time to like source the best stuff around. And so, the bar scene and the hotel scene, in particular, that was when we were shooting in Eric's office, and I just remember like really scrambling to like, there's an amount of scrappy that works and that is fun and doable, but then there's a certain type of scrappy that just looks bad and looks completely amateur. And I think we were
walking the line sometimes.
Yeah, there were a couple of shots where you could see how close we were walking the line. I saw tonight. I was looking. I was like, oh, I can see blue tape there. Shit, I guess we should have edited that out.
I just remember balancing cans in that scene behind you guys at the bar, just like trying to make it look like a real bar. And that got a little stressful, because you just don't want to tinker too much while you have a crew sitting there ready to go. And you also don't want to look like idiots when you have like all these grips around and people with cameras that are ready to shoot, and you don't have a set. So that was tricky.
We have a question from Mark, which is, which scene still makes you laugh when you show the film to your family or friends who haven't seen it? And can somebody please explain what a MUPA is?
I'll answer the first part. I want not the second part. I think it's funny. There's the scene at a Walmart that we shot. Eric ad-libbed a line there that I laughed naturally on set. He was like, I can't believe blood is this sticky. Like, he just kind of came up with that on the spot. And I remember laughing, and it was real. I just thought it was funny, and we stayed in character. And personally, I still, for some reason, like really love the Walmart scene, because I think it's the most ridiculous scene in the movie, because it's coming off such an intense shootout. And I always thought of that as kind of like the most of like the bit of the like part of the movie, like is the most like a skit. So personally speaking, and like just from watching with my friends and family, I feel like that's always the moment that really gets me going.
I laugh at the part where we say business writing partners, and you cut to like the weird handshake. That still cracks me up. And I also laugh at the part where, because we always thought it was funny on set, but then we weren't sure if people would realize we were joking. But and the first time we screened the movie and everyone laughed, I was like, oh, thank God! Like, there's a part where I have like a little tiny cut on my finger, and Sean's wrapping it all the way up, all the way around, and it's just like it's like close to the end. I remember when we were doing, our editor was like, you should be like, ow, 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 and like do the VO for it. I was like, no, like we're just gonna be a silent rap, and that like, the movie is so vulgar at points that I like the more subtle stuff that comes, because that's the stuff that kind of it makes you laugh longer the more you watch it. That little subtle rap my tiny pinky cut, like it's like it's a wound, still makes me giggle. And the Moopa thing, I think, Mark, if you can find me on social media at Eric Reggie, I'll tell you what that means for the sake of the people that are watching. I see it in the movie, I won't repeat it.
What still makes me laugh is the scene where Eric pulls the plastic bag of weed and the lighter out from between his legs. I always laugh. And the Gene Hackman impression.
Oh yeah, the Gene Hackman impression. That's pretty cool.
Gene Hackman is weird and funny.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. What's a secret budget-saving technique you figured out while making this film?
That's a good one.
A secret.
If you're acting in it, don't take a salary, and if you're writing and directing it, don't take a salary. There was so much budget. All right. I don't think this is a secret. I don't think it's a secret at all. I think if you want to hire talent, and you want to bring your vision to life, and I think that the secret with a low budget, I feel like this is obvious. I think the secret is to having so much passion for your project and being so confident in your vision and what your idea is, and being able to translate that to a crew and say that, like, we have no money, but we know how talented you are, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. And if you can be persuasive enough to bring them on, they're going to elevate your project. And that's what we did for the crew, and that's what we did with our editor. We had a limited budget for him, but we showed him footage, and he read the script, and he loved that. And that's what we did with our person that did our sound design and mixing. He works out. He's teaches sound. He's done all these feature films, and we just told him how we were just so excited about it. All right, we were so excited to show him the stuff and to show him the world. And I think we were just genuine about how we felt about bringing this to life. And we paid way below scale, but we gave what we could, and we did it. I feel like I'm telling you something you probably know, Jim. I think
No, I think it makes sense. I think having passion when you describe your work. I mean, I think that needs to be repeated sometimes. I think a lot of times people are very humble with their project, and I know I'm trying to get over that myself. But it's good to believe in yourself. It's good to believe in your work, and I think people get excited about that when you're excited about it. And I think Eric and I and Alex, we really tried to honestly just pump people up that were part of our project, and made it feel like it was also part of it was their project as well. And I think building that momentum and building that team mentality really helped everyone on set, and it made things go smoother. And again, when you don't have when you have a finite schedule and a finite budget, you need everyone to be on the same page. And I think we really just always tried to be enthusiastic and passionate about what we're doing. And honestly, just it sounds silly, but just kind to make people feel like they were welcome and safe on our sets. And I think that really just always kept everything in the box.
And the last thing I'll add also is, I that's kind of bringing the crew, but that really was how our secret to saving money. But the other thing is, take advantage of every single resource you can. I think, again, this probably sounds obvious, but we shot Act 1 and Act 3 because we wanted to make this movie in one setting and just redesign everything. And we realized over time that the cost of renting out a studio was going to be so expensive to shoot 12. We were shooting 12 days, and I remember we needed a conference room for a scene, and I worked in an office, and I was like, there's a conference room. And I was sitting in my office, and I was like, that area looks like a bar. And I was like, that back weird green wall could be turned into a hotel room. And Sean came in one day, and he's looking at the bar area, and he's like, Eric, I think that could be a bar. And I think if you can see beyond your normal settings, you can really turn it. We turned my office into a Walmart. We had a great set, we had a great lead set designer to do that, but we could see how that could work. And I think you have to be able to look past everything. It's like people that go to buy a home, and it's a piece of shit, and they can't see past how good the bones are. But if you can see how you can redesign a house and get an incredible deal. It's the same thing for us. We made an ad sales office, would have purple walls. We're we has a pink bathroom. Let's shoot in a pink bathroom. We just were able, the room We have a view of the Empire State Building. All right, let's get one shot with the Empire State Building to establish we're in New York and make it feel bigger budget, and everything else will just be artificial. And take advantage of every corner of the space you're in, and you can do it. And you can do it. I mean, people do it in their homes, and that was the biggest thing. We got this movie done. We got production done for like 18 or 19K. That last 10K really went to post because we just used free spaces, and then we paid for the studio space for all the action scenes. That's where we put the chunk of budget where we needed to look like we're in an underground layer. So that's the key. Sorry, it's hard for the long-winded spiel there.
I feel like the behind-the-scenes footage of you guys working together would have been really fun to see. Like, I'm just imagining you like, and that could be a bar, and then you could move this over here, and the camera could move this way, and like things are like popping up.
It's true. I mean, I remember a cinematographer coming to our GV came to look at the office, and we were like, "This is a bar." He's like, all right, okay, maybe. And then we were like, "We want to shoot this wedding sequence in here." And he's like, no. He's like, "We do it in there, it's gonna be too tight." He's like, "Actually, let's just do this corner." He's looking at like desks. He's like, "We'll just put out." He's like, "We'll get a fake brick wall." He's like, "We'll get wallpaper of a brick wall. We'll put that there. We'll do the corner." I was like, "Yeah, let's get a slider. We'll slide the camera this way, or we'll pull out from like one shot to establish this like tight little world over there in the corner." And he kind of got in on it too. And I'll never forget when after we shot the bar scene, he was our colorist also, and he did a lot of coloring work at the time, and he'd just taken a frame grab. He took a quick still of the bar and posted it on, I think, Instagram or Facebook. And somebody was like, "Oh, isn't that a bar in Astoria, Queens? Isn't that a Mexican restaurant in Astoria, Queens?" I was like, "All right, we did it. We did it."
That's amazing. Well, we are just about running out of time, but before we go, is there anything else you guys would like to share, letting the audience know how they can stay in touch, your social media, website, upcoming festivals you guys will be in, or events that they can tell their friends about that you want to share?
Sure. So, Sean, did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
No. That's okay.
We're going to be in some upcoming festivals in 2021. One in January in Florida in a theater, which doesn't feel safe, but I guess it's Florida, so feels right for that place. We're not going, so if you're in Florida, you won't see us there. And then we have some others that were pushed back in 2020 to later next summer. And then hopefully we have a sales agent or a producer's rep that we're working with, and so hopefully you guys will get to see the movie sometime distributed next year. We're excited to share it with a broader audience. And from a social media perspective, you could find me at Instagram at Eric Reggie, EricReggie, and I'll let you guys share your stuff.
Paul, you remember my Instagram name? You what do you think?
Captain Keneal. Captain Keneal. I knew there was like an extra letter.
See? I knew you'd remember it. Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Captain Keneals, Keneals, and you can check out our website. It's inactionmovie.com. We try to post some news and festival updates and such. So yeah, please check us out there too.
And we only put our positive reviews on there. The negative ones, and there aren't.
Those are bullshit.
Really, right? Bullshit. They don't know what they're talking about. No, there's different materials and articles we have on there as well.
My Instagram is AD Nordenson. It's not the most lively place around, but feel free to get in touch. But yeah, I wish we were going to Florida in January for the festival. It sounds pretty nice right about now.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for sharing your work and letting us in behind the scenes on all the secrets of your filming journey. We wish you all the best and hope to see you again over the course of the fest. And to our audience, thank you for joining us for the Q&A for In Action. If you have not seen it yet, you can go watch it on demand. Make sure to vote because there will be an audience award. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks
everybody.
Thanks so much.